Good evening, and thank you for joining us here at one of the Folsom Ministries. And if you would bow your heads with me and let's open up with prayer. Oh, gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us to come together and share your word, Father God. We ask that you would bless each and every person under the sound of my voice. Father God, lead us and guide us and continue to protect us in this crazy, crazy world. Lord, we thank you and we give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. And welcome to one of the Folsom Ministries. And if you would turn with me to Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9. Deuteronomy 18, verse 9. And we're going to start there. We're not going to read a lot of scripture tonight, but what I am going to do is share with you some information that I think will be very, very valuable. Tonight is just going to be an introductory, and then the next time I appear, we're going to go into detail about some things in this world that we have sort of come to as Christian believers. And these things are unbeknownst to us, right in our face, and they call it hidden in plain sight. So I want to share this information with you. This is going to be just an introductory. I'm going to talk about some signs and symbols. And next week, we'll move forward from the signs and symbols. But Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 19, it says, "When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations." And folks, we have learned to do after the abominations of this nation. God has said it over and over again that we are to be separate and not conform to this world. And so one of the things you've heard me say here before that the enemy uses is fear and trickery. And he uses entertainment to draw us in. And within that entertainment, he gets us off track. He gets us to participate in rituals and all type of occult activity without us even knowing it. And so this is the information I want to share with you. And I'm going to begin by sharing with you some symbols, occult symbols that are used each and every day. And once we go over these symbols and you see some of the things that I'm going to show you, you will start recognizing these things every day, actually, while you're watching television and just as you go about your everyday life. So we're going to start with this first symbol, and if you will bring that information in so the viewers can see it. Bring all the writing in, Debbie, if you will. Okay, this symbol is called the triangle. This triangle is with one point up. It is called the earthly triangle or the pyramid. Where do we see pyramids? We see pyramids all around us. Now that I'm showing you this pyramid and we're talking about it, you will start seeing it everywhere. The pyramid triangle or the fire triangle, and it symbolizes the perfect or divine man, godhood. Furthermore, it is said by Masons that God becomes man and man becomes God. It is used for magical purposes and casting spells. The triangle is a big, big symbol in the occult world. And it's used throughout our society. some of you, I'm going to bring this point to you. If you are in a Greek fraternity, one in particular being the Delta Sigma Theta, this triangle is one of the symbols that's used there. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and that fraternity a little bit later. So if we would slide to the next slide. This triangle is the symbol of Seth. Seth is an Egyptian god or Egyptian devil. Seth is also listed in the Satanic Bible, and it's another name for Satan. And as you see in this triangle, you see the eye. We're going to talk about the eye, which is also used in our culture frequently. You see the compass, and you see that symbol down at the bottom, which is a medical symbol that actually originated when Moses came down with the Ten Commandments, and he created the symbol when God had the serpents that were killing or biting the people. And it has been used in occultism since then. The next symbol is going to be the pentagram. Satanists and witches love the pentagram. We are told that the pentagram is one of the main symbols of witchcraft and occultism. It has always been used in ritual magic and is used for divination, the conjuring of spirits, and to summon demonic help. It is considered by occultists to be one of the most potent means of conjuring spirits. And that's the picture of the pentagram. And there's two different variations of the pentagram. So why is this important? So these items they're putting these items on clothing, jewelry, all types of stuff, and we are bringing this stuff into our homes. Our children are bringing this stuff into our homes, and we are unaware of what this stuff means or what it stands for or what type of spiritual implications it has in our lives. With the single point of the star pointing upward, it is regarded as the sign of the good, and it means to conjure benevolent spirits. And we know there's no such thing as, they had it categorized as a good sign and a bad sign. One used for good and one used for bad. But we know anything that is in witchcraft is bad, no matter what anyone says about it. And the next slide will show inverted pentagram. This is a little bit different symbol. When the signal point faces downward and the pair of points are on the top, it is a sign of the evil, Satan, and is used to conjure the power of evil. And we know both is evil. That's almost like saying some witches say that they're a good witch and they practice good witchcraft. But if you're a witch is a witch, and it's all of Satan and not pleasing to God.
Amen.
The next symbol is called the hexagram. The hexagram is used in magic, witchcraft, occultism, and the casting of the zodiac and horoscope signs internationally. It was considered to possess mysterious powers. Sorcerers believe it represents the footprint of a special kind of demon called a druid, and is used in ceremonies both to call up demons and to keep them away. That star inside that circle looks familiar, doesn't it? Where have we seen that before? We've seen that quite a few places.
Star, David?
And actually, we've seen that star. It is it's referred to as the Star of David. But if you have done any studying on that star at all, you will realize that David never had a star. So David never had a star. So that star represents something other than David. And sometimes I wonder how that star became the symbol of a country. That I won't share with you tonight, but we may get into that the next time we talk. But David never had a star. And they talk about the seal of Solomon. No. The star originated somewhere else, and we won't go into that. And we will move on to the next slide. This next symbol is called the Zodiac. How many of you are familiar with the Zodiac? What's your Zodiac sign? I think you've heard that quite a few times. Listen, people. Astrology, keeping track with your Zodiac sign, is all demonic. And someone said, well, it's right about my personality. But like I said before, once you start reading your Zodiac sign and you start accepting what they say, you repeat it, you're accepting, you have given permission to demonic forces to come into your life and influence your behavior. So all this stuff that they say about your Zodiac and your personality and reading your daily horoscope, this stuff is all demonic. And by participating, you are opening doors and giving demonic entities, demonic powers, permission, legal right to come into your life and influence you in whatever way you are accepting. Remember, when the enemy comes, a lot of times we have to open a door and give him permission. And by opening the door, we're giving the enemy permission. The Zodiac sign is used in satanic and occult worship. Practitioners are acknowledging their God as Baal or Lucifer. All horoscope signs. So typically when people ask me, what's your sign? I say, I don't have a sign. I'm a child of God. Saints, we need to be careful. We need to keep our children away from these horoscope, these zodiac signs, and all of these symbols. And sometimes we wonder why they're going crazy. We're hollering about mental health. And we want to send them to the doctor and put them on medication, but they need a spiritual doctor. They need deliverance. And opening these doors by participating in these things, we're giving the enemy a foothold in our house. This next symbol represents rebellion, anarchy. Means to abolish all laws. Now remember, well, I don't think I've said this before. In the end, Satan's followers believe that it's going to be anarchy and anything is going to go in the world, which we're almost at that point now because people have lost it. People are absolutely going crazy. We're so evil and mean and rude to each other. We'll hurt somebody. And one of the things that blows my mind, I see people that are being hurt in the street, someone's hurting them or attacking them, and everybody takes out their phone and start filming instead of intervening. We have turned into a sick culture. We have become a sick culture when we will rather film someone being brutalized or injured or hurt instead of intervening and stopping it. And I believe if you're a follower of God, you're a believer and a child of the Most High, we have a right to intervene. We must stand for justice and righteousness. It means to abolish all laws. In other words, do what thou wilt. Let me explain do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt, the law of Satan. Okay, they have a Bible. This symbol is also, you'll see this symbol utilized in punk rock groups, heavy metal groups, and people that follow those type of bands. Satan has a little bit something for everybody. Just like we have different denominations, they have different categories of different groups that actually follow Satan. Do what thou wilt. So there's a guy by the name of Aleister Crowley, which he calls himself the Beast, which they say he was the most wickedest man alive, and he taught a lot of people in Hollywood, entertainers, actors, and just that whole arena, a lot of occult secrets. And so one of the things that he coined was do what thou wilt. That means they have all these things that they profess, and all these ways of behaving and acting and things that they're doing that they have put in place. And to sum it all up under one phrase, that phrase is do what thou wilt. And so if you see those words somewhere or connected with a group or connected to someone, there's a strong possibility that they are following the occult. And the strange things, there are probably hundreds of songs that have been released, popular songs that we follow with this same phrase in it. Or they might change the words just a little bit. Anarchy. The next symbol is the star and the crescent. Some say it represents white witchcraft and Satanism. You know, they got their different flavors. It represents the moon goddess Diana. Diana was also called several other names, the Queen of Heaven, Semiramis. All these different cultures has different names, all these different gods, but it's all Lucifer is the title. Dinah and the son of the morning. The name of Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12. Witchcraft uses this the way it is shown, and Satanism turned it the opposite direction. There's some other religious groups that use this symbol as well that don't call themselves Satanists, but I won't mention those groups. But when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. This next group, I'm quite sure this next symbol, I've seen this symbol utilized in a lot of African American circles, people that kind of follow Egyptology. It's called the Ankh. So, and if you ever paid attention to Egyptian hieroglyphics, well, let me just tell you something about the Egyptians. The Egyptians worship all type of deities. They worship all type of gods and all type of deities. They were They almost had a god for almost every day of the week that they worship. The Egyptians and the Ankh. This is called the Egyptian cross, the symbol of life in occult tradition. It was used by the gods as an instrument of awakening the dead to a new life. And one way you'll see this, you'll see the god Anubis. And I have a slide of Anubis. And Anubis is the Egyptian god that has a human lower body and a almost like they call it a jackal or a dog upper body. And that was Anubis. So if you ever look at Egyptian hieroglyphics, you'll see Anubis and other deities with this in their hands. So if you see somebody wearing this Ankh and you're a believer, you might want to ask them some questions about this. And I'm quite sure some of you have seen this symbol at some point in time as earrings, necklaces. That's how it's commonly represented by a lot of people. A formal witch reveals this is an emblem to identify the wearer as a worshiper of the sun god Ra. Ra is an Egyptian goddess. The seeker of the Satanist belief and one who practices the worship to the unknown gods of the supernatural. Now, I'm giving you descriptions and definition about some of these symbols, but keep in mind that different groups, different people may have a different twist or a different meaning. So some of these symbols can have several different descriptions, several different meanings. It's just based on who's using them and their belief system, almost like the church. You can bring up a topic and you can come to this church and we'll have one belief, and you can go down the street to another church and they might have a different twist on that same subject or topic. The next symbol is called the V sign. The V sign. This actually began as a symbol of the satanic benediction during ritual. So during ritual, this was part of the satanic benediction. Winston Churchill said that this sign stood for victory. In the Kabbalah, the meaning of the Hebrew letter V is nail. Now the nail is one of the secret titles of Satan with the Brotherhood of Satanism. So this is not the peace sign. It has always been used in the occult, and Mr. Churchill determined and coined it as the sign for victory. In some kind of way, it is represented in our culture as peace. But it's not used in peace. And you'll see some of these symbols being displayed by celebrities and on clothing. The next symbol is the peace sign. How many thought that this was the actual peace sign? This is known as the Teutonic ruin of death. Throughout the last 2,000 years, this symbol has designated hatred of Christians. Not today, but in the past. Nero, who despised Christians, crucified Apostle Peter on a cross head downward. This symbol, also called the broken cross, the crow's foot, the witch's foot, and Nero's cross. This cross with the arms broken signifies the gesture of despair and the death of man. During the Dark Ages, it was used as witchcraft during initiation of a new member. So this is not the peace sign. This symbol has been used for thousands of years, and it wasn't representing peace. And so Peter was crucified and head down, in which the arms, or you see the arms sticking outside from the middle, the centerpiece that represents the broken arms. So now this symbol is everywhere, and now if you pay attention when you go shopping, you'll see a lot of these symbols, especially this one, on clothing. And it's not a symbol we should be wearing on our clothing. Next symbol. This symbol has quite a few names. It's one of the few symbols referring to Lucifer, whom it is let's back this up a little bit. This is called the all-seeing eye. Below the eye is a tear, because he mourns for those outside of his influence. Now, I rarely see this symbol with that the teardrop up under it, but this symbol is represented in a lot of different arenas. And let me tell you something, and don't believe me, but I want you to go check. Now, you remember Kanye West performed at Joel Osteen's church when Kanye West professed that he was now a gospel artist, and he performed at Joel Osteen's church, and he had the choir on stage, and they were performing. If you look at one of the videos where they took a shot from above, Kanye West's choir was in the formation of an eye. That's right, they were standing in the formation, and the formation that they took is shaped like the eye, which represented the all-seeing eye, actually possibly performing a ritual before thousands and thousands of Christians. Go on YouTube, look for that video when he performed at Joel Osteen Church, and if you find the one where they show a version or shot from above, you'll see the formation of the eye, which represents the eye of Satan, the witch's eye, Lucifer's eye. There's several different names that this symbol is called. And also you'll see people in Hollywood represent this symbol by typically placing one hand over one eye. And if you pay attention to a lot of the magazine covers, you'll see where they have one eye covered either with their hand or some type of object. So this is the symbol that they're representing. And so keep in mind when these people go into Hollywood and they get these big contracts and they get all this money, they have an obligation to meet. And that obligation is they have to sell out. And they have to sell out to Lucifer. And one of the ways that they show the establishment that they're still a part of what's going on, they have to show these symbols, flash these hand signals, these signs, in order to continue their success. Their success comes at a price. This next slide is called the upside down cross. This symbol symbolizes mockery and rejection of Jesus. Necklaces are worn by many Satanists, not just Satanists, but there's a lot of other people that might not carry the title of a Satanist or a worshiper of the devil. But if someone has this symbol, you might want to start asking some questions. If you either asking them or you're asking yourself if they're close to you. It can be seen on rock singers, rappers, actors, It's real popular in the rap culture and the rock culture. You'll see the symbol is called an upside down cross, and it's worn as a mockery to Jesus. This next symbol, I had a video that I wanted to show in reference to this symbol. There's 3 different ways this symbol is displayed. However, I was unable to get that video downloaded to actually show it. This symbol is a sign that occultists use to recognize each other. When pointing at someone, it is meant to curse them. And this particular symbol has the thumb over the fingers. There also can, this symbol can be utilized in a little bit different way, where the thumb is pointed out, not over the fingers. And the 2 fingers that are separated, the 2 outer fingers, they can also display it where those 2 fingers are pointing straight up. And once you start paying attention when you come to concerts, and you're actually at a concert, and you're into the music, you're yelling and screaming, many of the artists will come on stage, and once they get the people to start chanting whatever they're chanting, you'll see the artists throw their hands up in this formation. And what they're actually doing is they're cursing the people in the audience. They're reciting the curse, or they're projecting a curse. And the audience, typically, you go to some of these concerts, they're in like a frenzy. And their hands are up, they're jumping, and a lot of them tell them, throw your hands up, throw your hands up. And whatever the artist say, they start reciting it, and they're actually reciting the curse. And these people are receiving the curse. They're receiving whatever that these artists are projecting onto the people. I know it sounds hard to believe, but after this, and you see a video, and you'll recognize it. I remember, I think his name was LL Cool J, a rapper. He was performing with a gospel artist, and he began to throw this symbol up and recite. I can't remember exactly what he was reciting, but I don't think it was good. So also this symbol can be also recognized with the thumb out as the I love you in sign language. But remember the lady that created sign language was big in the occult. She was very big in the occult. And I can't remember her name right now, but you guys know who I'm talking about. So this guy is called Anton Levay. He started the Church of Satan, and if you look behind him, you'll see the pentagram with the 2 points up that I told you about. And if you look at his bottom hand, you'll see the hand gesture that he's displaying. So he had a big influence on the occult in modern times. He actually wrote the Satanic Bible, inspired by his father Lucifer. And it has been rumored that on his deathbed, one of the last things that Anton Levay was alleged to have said was he think he's gotten it wrong all these years, right before he died. It's another picture of Anton Levay. You see the symbol in the background. You see the hand gesture. You'll have that next symbol. Okay, that symbol is not displayed. You don't have it. Okay. think I have a different presentation here. Sorry about that, but Anton Levay, you hear people in Hollywood make reference to him. The next symbol is actually called the Vulcan. Where have we seen that? Star Trek? Mr. Spock? Hollywood is full of occultism. A lot of the TV shows full of occult practices and rituals. So this is called the Vulcan was a sun deity who was associated with fire, thunderbolts, and light. So this symbol is also utilized in Hollywood. And remember, I told you once before that 90% of our elected officials are in the occult. And I would say probably 100%, I could be wrong, of our entertainers are part of the occult. So if you go on YouTube, you can see LeBron James go through a little ritual before his games. I don't think they film it anymore, but in this early part of his career, if you can Google it, you can see LeBron James, and he will flash some of these symbols that I see here today. And the Vulcan is one. Next symbol. The moon sign, or which sign. This is used to salute the rising moon, also used by surfers and football teams and fraternities. This is a sign also known as Hookem. The Hookem horns. For those of you who are in this fraternity that uses this sign right here, let me just say something. And the fraternity that uses this sign is a African-American fraternity. What does the Black culture have to do with Greek history or Greek mythology? There's nothing about African Americans, Black people, whatever we want to call ourselves, that represents anything Greek. We are not Greeks. So why are all of our fraternities using Greek mythology, Greek letters, and actually a lot of them use Greek deities as the mascots. And that's another lesson that we will get into later. But this sign is used by many other groups as well. All right, the next symbol. Satanic S's. Means the destroyer. It represents lightning bolts. That means destroyer. It was used as a supposed to be a weapon of Zeus. I don't know if you guys know who Zeus was, but it was a goddess. There you go with that mythology. And there's been some scholars who believe that all of these Greek gods, Zeus, Hercules, they were actually men that they worship, but not normal men. But some scholars believe that they were the Nephilim. And so all these stories about these Hercules, Zeus, and all these gods having superhuman strength and stuff like that, they believe that it was birthed from worship of the Nephilim. That's just what some people think. I have no opinion on that. I was just sharing that information. Of course, this symbol was used by Nazi Germany, and we know that Hitler was big into occultism. All right, next symbol. I want you to look at that bottom right symbol. These symbols represent 666. And look at the bottom left, wherever you've seen those before. The Olympic rings. Just pay attention to Olympic. Go back and watch some Olympic videos. You will see these symbols. It represents 666. Also, those Olympic ceremonies, the opening ceremonies and the closing ceremonies, are actually occult rituals that they are performing. And by the mere fact of watching, a believer watching those performances, they are literally participating in a occult ritual. And you're subject to being influenced because we are participating. The Father clearly says we are to have nothing to do with that type of stuff. And then that symbol, the second symbol on top, you see 3 F's, because why? F is the 6th letter of the alphabet. And there are some symbols that I don't have on here that represent occultism. And let me give you an example how they can hide stuff. Apple. What's the symbol for Apple? Apple products. It's an apple that has been bitten, right? Have y'all ever thought about that? So many believe that Eve, God told them not to eat of the forbidden, the tree of good and knowledge, good and evil. But she went to do so and she got Adam to eat of it. So Apple has that symbol of a bitten apple. And most of the Fortune 500 companies, they have symbols that are connected to the occult. This teaching was actually put together a while back, so there's some updated pictures that I have to put together. All right, the next symbol. I think we did that one. Go to the next one. Where are we seeing this symbol? How about on our dollar bill, our currency? What do you have up top? You have the eye, then you have the pyramid that's separated. And so it's separated because once the man of sin, their God, the world's God, once the man of sin appears, they say that pyramid will become one. And there you go, when I told you, we just talked about the eye, there's the eye right there again, and of course, the triangle or the pyramid. It's also used in divinations and witchcraft. It's a symbol of this one, the most powerful group in the world. I'm not going to say the name, but you see the name down there at the bottom. All that is, it's the most powerful and the richest group of witches in the world. They are actually leading the way to set the stage for the Antichrist. So we are God's children and we're working for God. These people are working for Lucifer. And they control the wealth of the world. So nothing about this world we should be connected to. nothing. We really have to separate ourselves from the world. Because remember, what's Satan's job? How does he come in? Through fear and trickery. So he's going to come in as an angel of light. He tricks us. The enemy can't do nothing in this world. The Antichrist can't even appear unless we accept him. And so the enemy uses deception and fear to get us to the state where we will receive whatever the world has to offer. Whatever is coming from the world, whatever is coming from the world, I don't care what it is, we need to turn to our scriptures. Everything that is happening right now, everything that we're dealing with today, everything that we're faced with, it comes, there's something written in the scripture about it. It's all scriptural. And so we cannot lose heart, we cannot lose faith, but we have to disconnect from this world. Everything about this world is from Lucifer. He's the king, he's the ruler of this world and this world system. He has authority. He doesn't have complete control because our Father does, but he has been given authority to do certain things, and he's deceiving us. Everything you see on the news, deception. If he can lure us to sleep, that's what he's going to do, and get us to accept everything. So because we say we need our government to step in and protect us from whatever the challenge is or whatever the problem is, which they create. You know what our government does? They create a problem, and then they bring us the solution. And say, we got a big problem over here. So we got the solution. We're going to help you. And then we say, okay, come on in and help us. And then what they do, they take more and more of our rights and more of our freedoms. Because everything the Antichrist is going to do is going to be legal. It's going to be legal. Even down to beheading of the believers is going to be legal. And one of the ways they're going to do that, y'all ever heard the word terrorists? Believers are going to be considered terrorists. You ever seen the terrorist list? They had two lists. They got, the terrorist list, then they got the domestic terrorist list. So I saw the domestic terrorist list. Guess who was on there? People who talk about end time prophecy, Christians. And I saw this list about 15 years ago. And so guess what we accepted? The Patriot Act 2. So when they had the World Trade Center, they put these laws in place by the Patriot Act. And then when Obama got in office, Bush put that in first. Then Obama got in office, he put the Patriot Act 2 in. That was for us. We thought it was for some men hiding in the cave. Do y'all think some men that came out of a cave can come to the United States and do certain things and get away with it? I'm talking about we have security in place. We have technology. The technology we have is unbelievable. But if you don't know about it and you see it, or you think you see something, but we're not sure what we see. But we see something, then they tell us what we see. Deception. So when that happened, we were all afraid, and then we was like, let's go get him, President. And what we did, we put those laws in place, which is going to be used against us. The Noahide laws. They're working on those laws right now. Laws that will bring back the guillotine. Our government ordered 30,000 guillotines, and you can't find it now. You can't find it, but I know about 15 years ago, I think it was between 15 and 10, I actually had the documents. The documents was available. So I got the documents that showed that they actually ordered guillotines. What do our government need with guillotines? This is serious, folks. What do they need with guillotines? And now if you go online and try to find it, you're not going to find it. And they got the fact check. fact checking. And so you say anything, they say, oh, fact check, say this is this, this is that. Now they're controlling our speech. They're going to take everything that we say offline. They're gaining a little bit more ground each and every time. And we are so surprised. Didn't the Bible say there's going to be pestilence?
Amen.
And then as soon as pestilence hit, we got scared. And guess what they told us? Come here, I got something for you. We're going to help you. When has Satan helped the world? Or when has Satan helped the people? Never. But he has always deceived us. But sometimes we don't know who Satan is, so I'm trying to help us identify who Satan is by these signs. Because you're going to start seeing these signs around, not you see them here. I remember I shared them with my family. And then from time to time I would drop by and say, remember you was talking about that? I saw it today on TV. I said, yeah, you're going to see it every day now. So deception. That's how it works. Fear and deception. And we know God didn't give us a spirit of fear. So anytime you get afraid, that didn't come from God. And then someone told me one day we was having a discussion, and they said, well, God put the doctors here, and he gave the doctors knowledge to help us. But if you go back in the time, what did the early doctors use? All the way up until the early 1900s, what kind of medicine did they use? They used herbs, stuff out of the ground. My grandmother, when we got sick, we never went to the doctor. She'd go out there and grab some out of the yard, bring it in the house and fix it up. And guess what? We was good. We didn't go to the doctor. The first time I think I went to the doctor, like some people go to the doctor, they get a cold. But it was when I broke a bone. And so I had to go to the doctor for that. But we put trust in these doctors, the medical industry, I talked about this before, has been taken over by who? Satan. Completely taken over. It's controlled by Satan. So now they want to give us pharmaceuticals, medicines, drugs that don't cure nothing. Treat the symptoms and you get worse and worse. It keeps you sustained. So you're a steady pipeline of money. It keeps you paying money. So now you're a steady pipeline of money, but it doesn't cure you. And if anybody comes up with a cure, what they're gonna call them? Quacks. These doctors are quack. He's crazy. And they're gonna shut him down, and we're gonna believe him. They'll take, like what I'm speaking here tonight, they do stuff like they'll take what I'm saying, cut it, and try to make me look like a quack. That's what they do. But I'm not popular enough for them to do me like that, I don't think. So I don't have enough followers. But if I had a large following, yeah, because I had some people when I was on the radio show, I had some people that appeared on my broadcast that were preaching the gospel, and they was revealing divisive secrets that Satan was using. And two of them that I used to interview are actually dead now. One died about 4 years ago, and the other one died about a year ago. And both of them had gained large followings. And they were just, this one guy, this information he was putting out was precious to believers. And him and his wife passed away. All right, next symbol. Bring it, the rest of it in. We already talk about this? Skull and bones. Crossbones. This symbol is important in some of these orders. Secret societies. This symbol represents one of the most powerful secret societies in the world. Power. It symbolizes rebirth. It's a gateway to a higher realm of understanding. It represents spiritual death. Y'all know they have algorithms on the social media. So when I say certain words, it gets a response from the Facebook system, and it brings it catches the attention of the people that they have monitoring Facebook. So I won't say some things, which I probably have said enough already, but I won't say some things because I don't want that happening. But if it does happen, so be it. But you guys can see what it says here. Next symbol. Jupiter. Have y'all ever heard the song called Jupiter? So they say it's the largest planet in our solar system. It was a Roman god. Of course, that Roman mythology and Greek mythology. Go back. This symbol, you'll see this symbol on a lot of artists' albums, like secular artists. Now, personally, I don't believe that we should be listening to secular music. And if you start looking at these albums, once you recognize these symbols, you'll start seeing a lot of this stuff. Jupiter is another name for God. For the Antichrist, actually. And this music that they make is ritualistic music. They don't make music for nothing. So when we come in here and we begin to get involved in praise and worship, we're praising for a purpose. That music is purposeful. So Satan counterfeits everything. And so when he counterfeits everything, he's perfect. It's for a purpose as well. And so the music in the circular world is ritualistic music. So I'm ahead of myself. I was supposed to talk about this next week. But they summon spirits when they begin to make this music. And they attach spirits to this music. So when you're listening to it, you're actually opening doors for possession, and or you don't have to be possessed, but the devil can be activated in your life. And they really target our youth with this music. The music is horrible. And you can't, I seen some churches try to take secular music and they try to put Christian words with it, but this is ritualistic music. They make this music to influence the world negatively. They have seances over these music. They go into trances so that demonic spirits can possess them and give them music. So when this symbol popped up, I immediately want to go to this album cover. And if you would go to the next slide, I'm not sure if it's the next slide. That's Anubis. I was talking about the Egyptian god. He represents Omega Psi Phi fraternity. That's where they get the dog ears from and all of that stuff. Go to the next one, because I'm going to wrap it up real quick. That's Anubis again. Go to the next one. That's the Egyptian Sphinx, which represent one of the secret societies. So I don't have much time, so go to the next one. So the Sphinx is representation of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. That's a secret society. Keep going. Delta Sigma Theta, which Minerva is their mascot, and they're use the symbol of the pyramid. I talked about the pyramid earlier, and the pyramid is kind of made like this with their hands. Also, you see this symbol, that pyramid symbol used in the music industry as well. So we're going to keep going. We have to come back to that another day. Go to the next slide. Go to the next one. I was talking about AKA. Next one. Let me just stop right here on this one. This is called the GOAT. They've been tossing this word out, calling athletes the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And so the GOAT of Matthias, or his name is also Baphomet. So they will make reference to this god. This ain't nothing but a demon in Hollywood. And what you notice, they talk about dualism, man and female. So you see, it's a goat, male goat. He has the breast. This represents the male organ, and this represents the female organ. So they believe in dualism. And also you see the hands signs. And this one, we didn't talk about this hand sign, but that's also one as well. Then you got the star on the forehead, and you have the upside down cross. So the upside down cross is not good. So, and I think I got another picture before I start shutting down I want to show. Go to the next slide. Also, you got 666 on the right form. Go to the next one. That's Anton Levay, and you can see his hands here. The devil horns is what they call them. Got the pentagram behind him. Go to the next one. That's him again. Go to the next one. That's John Kerry with Anton Levay. Fundraiser they did. These are the people we trust and we believe. They get up in front. And he's not the only one, but there's quite a few. I'll go to the next one. That's Aleister Crowley. So because of lack of time, I won't talk about him. Go to the next one. That's him again. Go to the next one. This is the Beatles album cover. The Beatles album cover. And you in the top corner right here, Aleister Crowley on the Beatles album. And there's a bunch of information I can give you about Aleister Crowley, but he's, like I told him, he was called himself the beast, the most wickedest man alive. He taught a lot of his teachings on occultism is what a lot of people practice today, especially in Hollywood. So that's why I was telling you about Aleister Crowley. Go to the next one. Earth, Wind, and Fire. And so we say, we can listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, especially when I'm with my wife, and we want to get ourselves in the mood. You don't need no circle of me to get yourself in the mood. You should love your wife, and that should be enough. But look at the Ankh, the eye, and there's that star again with Earth, Wind, and Fire. You see the star there? And I can go into detail about some songs that they sing, which they got a song called Jupiter. We saw Jupiter up there, but they're talking about a demon. Of course, you got the pyramid here. You got some other symbols around here. You got the eye again, and this picture's not good. But we're going to talk about that more when we start talking about music and the power of music. And there's this symbol, that medical symbol. I think that's the medical symbol, which when Abraham came out the mountain, he created the symbol for the people to look upon. I want to go into detail about that, but we don't have time. Go to the next one. That's one of the album covers. Again, Jupiter, the Egyptian pharaoh in the pyramid. Like I say, this music they're making, it's to play spirits into you. Go ahead. That's them again on another cover. Astrology. Look at all that stuff on there. Go to the next one. Remember I told you what they summed up the law, the whole of the law. Do what thou wilt. Yes, do what thou wilt on the shirt. They got plenty of songs out there that have this phrase in the song that we dance and bop around to, but we don't even know. So we don't know. Go to the next one. How much time we got? Michael Jackson with the peace sign. I tell you what, I'm gonna stop talking because I have a couple more slides, but I had a little video on there. Could we play about 4 minutes of that, and then that'll be it. Then I won't talk, but y'all will see some of the slides. If I had control of it, I could play it. So we're gonna play about a couple minutes of this. And so this is old. I put this together quite some time ago, but you'll get the picture. So I really want to get into the music thing because music is one of the biggest weapons that he uses on us, especially our young people. We don't have any picture in the video. Yeah, we don't have any video to it. All right, so we have a malfunction there. Debbie, you go ahead and stop it. All right, we'll have to get to that some other time, but I'm gonna wrap it up. We'll try to work those kinks out next time. But Saints, I know this is a little unorthodox and not what you would normally hear, but I've been battling with sharing this for the past couple of years, and I was like, I don't want to share this with nobody, but we're going to go into more detail about a lot of stuff. So make sure, I won't be here next week, but the following week I will be here. So, but make sure you tune in, and Brother Folsom will be coming on here shortly at 7:30. But if you're here now and you want to give, please make your checks on money orders payable to P.O. Box 44, Lake Placid, Florida, zip code 33862. Also, if you go to JuanitaFolsomMinistries.com, there's a link there where you can give, and if you have any prayer requests, you make your request known there, and someone will pray with you. So again, if you want to give, we'll send a check on money order. It's going to be P.O. Box 44, Lake Placid, Florida, zip code 33835. I pray that God.
33862, baby. 33862.
33862. What I quoted my own zip code. That's what I did. All right. Thank you for joining me. God bless, and just hang around because Mother Folsom will be speaking in about 10 minutes. God bless you.